All right, so get this. We're diving into a story. It's got loyalty, frustration, and a twist you won't believe. Imagine being a veteran, decades of service. You're a solid customer at your bank for just as long. Then, bam, you're locked out of your own money.
Yeah.
That's Harold Jenkins.
Hmm?
And get this, his wife, Elena, needs a new cancer medication.
Oh, wow.
Time is ticking, the pharmacy's closing soon.
Oh, man.
It's like decades of trust just crashing headfirst into the digital banking world.
You know what gets me? This isn't just banking. We see it in healthcare, too. Patient portals, online scheduling. They can really trip up people who aren't tech savvy.
Oh, yeah.
And they end up feeling powerless, frustrated, like Harold.
Right, like a system glitch.
Exactly. Stuck in a system that's all about efficiency and forgets the human side of things.
Totally. It's like
Yeah.
they forgot there are actual people behind all those transactions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have Harold, a total pillar of his community.
Right.
And now he feels like a stranger in his own bank. First Capital Bank. His bank for 43 years merges with National Financial Group.
Big change.
Big change, yeah. Suddenly, boom, new digital verification policies everywhere.
Well.
No smartphone app, no access. Harold, he's got a flip phone, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Totally shut out.
You know, these digital systems, they rely on all this stuff like multi-factor authentication, facial recognition, even tracking what you do online.
That's a lot.
It is. So Harold, with his flip phone, no big digital footprint, it probably set off the bank's fraud alarm bells.
Right, even though he's been a perfect customer forever.
Yeah, it's tough because banks are under so much pressure to stop fraud. But those systems, sometimes they get it wrong.
Absolutely.
They flag people who aren't actually a risk.
It really makes you think, like, if decades of good banking can just be erased by an algorithm, what's loyalty even mean anymore? Now we have Emily Carter, the bank manager. She's stuck in a tough spot. Corporate rules on one side, worried about lawsuits, federal guidelines. But there's Harold, a real person, stressed out, and the system's not budging.
Right, it highlights this whole tension between human judgment and those automated systems. Banks are relying more and more on algorithms, data,
Oh, totally.
to decide things.
Yeah,
It can be efficient, but it takes out the human touch.
for sure.
Emily probably knows Harold's a good customer, but she might not even be able to override the system.
Right. It's like she's trapped, too.
Exactly, feeling as helpless as Harold.
And all this is happening. The tension in the bank is building. Other customers, people who know Harold, respect him.
Small town thing.
Yeah, they're watching this all go down. You can almost hear the whispers, the side-eyed judgments.
I bet.
It just adds to the whole uncomfortable vibe.
That's where social pressure comes in. Banks, any business really, they care what people think.
Of course.
They don't want to look heartless. One bad incident, it goes viral, their reputation's tanked.
Oh, yeah, in this case, that social pressure, it gets cranked up in a way nobody saw coming. Enter Snoop Dogg and his daughter, Mahira. They just happen to be at the bank, see what's going on with Harold. Mahira, she's tech-savvy, right? Pulls up the bank's policies online, sees how unfair it is. And Snoop, he's dealt with cancer in his family, so he's not just going to stand by and watch this.
That's incredible. You've got Snoop Dogg, a cultural icon, stepping up for Harold.
I know, right?
It's a powerful reminder. Even in this digital world, human connection, it still matters.
Yeah.
Social influence is huge.
It's like David versus Goliath, but with a microphone and millions of followers.
Exactly. That's a serious weapon these days.
Yeah.
Companies freak out about their online image, bad publicity.
It's a nightmare for them.
Totally. Snoop being there, it turns this personal problem into a PR disaster waiting to happen for the bank.
It's not just Harold versus the bank anymore. It's Snoop Dogg, cameras rolling, taking on a giant corporation. He calls them out, says their obsession with digital convenience shouldn't trample on human dignity.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
He's not just speaking for Harold, he's voicing something bigger.
Yeah.
This worry that tech is eating away at basic human values, empathy, community,
He's tapping into something a lot of people feel, like something's off about how we're letting technology run things.
Exactly.
And Snoop, he doesn't hold back. Points out how ironic it is Harold, a model customer, treated like a criminal because he doesn't have a smartphone app.
Well,
It's a moment that makes everyone think.
it's brilliant how he connects this one incident to these huge societal issues.
Right.
It's not just about Harold's bank account anymore. It's about digital access, corporate responsibility, and companies needing to balance progress with basic human values.
He's basically saying, hey, you're missing the big picture here. You're so focused on stopping fraud, you forgot you're supposed to be helping people.
And that's where Emily Carter, our bank manager, she's in a real bind now. She's got her job. She's got to follow the rules.
Right.
But she's seeing this unfairness happening right there.
Yeah.
Caught between a rock and a hard place.
Totally. Talk about pressure.
Yeah.
And to make it even more intense, Snoop doesn't just leave it at that. He gives them an ultimatum. Help Harold, or he'll tell his millions of followers to find a bank that actually cares about people.
Whoa.
I bet Emily was sweating bullets.
That changes everything. It shows the power of social media. Snoop's influence, it spreads like wildfire online.
It's like he's weaponizing his influence.
He is. He's saying, do the right thing or face the consequences. It's a classic example of how one person, using technology and social media, can challenge these big institutions.
It's like that saying, the only way to keep power is with more power.
Exactly. And he's using his platform, his voice, to fight for what's right.
Putting Emily in a crazy tough spot.
Oh, yeah, suddenly she's the decision maker, and her choice could have huge consequences for her job, for the bank's image.
It's a real cliffhanger. The whole bank's holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next.
It really shows how social media can flip the script, make these big companies answer to the public.
Totally. It's like they're under a microscope now, millions of eyes watching their every move.
And it puts Emily right in the hot seat, having to make a decision that could make or break things.
Talk about pressure. And that's where we'll pause for now. We'll be back in a moment to see how this all plays out and what it means in the bigger picture.
Stick with us. This is where the real deep dive begins. We'll look at the ethical stuff banks face, how social media is holding them accountable, and how we can make a digital world that works for everyone, not just the tech savvy.
It's a big question. Stay tuned. Okay, so we left off with Snoop laying down the law, that ultimatum hanging in the air. Emily Carter, our bank manager, she's got to make a choice.
It's fascinating, right? She's stuck between the bank's rules and this huge social pressure from Snoop and everyone online.
Yeah.
It's a real-world example of how social media can shake things up, make these big institutions listen.
It makes you think about how one person can start a chain reaction. Mahira filming it, sharing it online. It turned a private thing into a public spectacle.
Absolutely.
And Snoop, using his platform to boost Harold's story, created this massive wave of pressure the bank couldn't ignore.
Exactly. This shows how corporate responsibility is changing in the digital age. Companies can't just ignore what people think anymore.
Right.
What they do or don't do, it blows up online instantly. They have to be more tuned in to what their customers and the community want.
It's like they're constantly being watched now, millions of eyes on them all the time.
Pretty much.
So, back to Emily. That ultimatum's hanging over her. Everyone's waiting to see what she'll do.
It's important to remember she's probably working within a really strict system. Banks have all these protocols,
Oh, yeah.
especially about money and security. She probably knows Harold's a good customer, but she might not be able to just break the rules.
Right. She's got the rule book on one side and her job on the line.
Exactly.
But then there's Harold needing his money, the system failing him.
It's a classic ethical dilemma, right? Follow the rules, even if it hurts someone, or bend them and risk your job, maybe even put the bank in danger.
Tough spot for sure.
Yeah, what would you do?
I don't know. It's a real nail biter. So does Emily crack under pressure? Does she find a way to help Harold?
Well, get this. Emily, she surprises everyone. She doesn't freak out or just blindly follow the rules.
Okay.
She does something bold. She remembers there's this emergency override thing.
Override.
Yeah, it's for situations just like this.
Yeah.
When the system can't recognize a legitimate customer.
Wow. So there was a way out all along. It's like a secret escape hatch in a computer program.
Exactly. Even the most complex systems, they have ways for humans to step in when you need common sense and compassion to win out over the rules.
I like that.
Emily, she chooses to trust her gut, her knowledge of Harold, and what she knows is right.
She's like, okay, I have to follow the rules, but I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. This system won't crush another person.
Yes. She takes back control in a system that's designed to shut humans out. It's a brave move, could cost her, but she puts helping Harold first.
That's amazing, especially in these corporate environments where everyone just follows orders. So the override works. Harold gets his money finally.
He does. Gets the money for Lena's medication. Everyone in the bank breathes a sigh of relief. Tension's gone. People are smiling. Feels like justice is served. But it doesn't end there.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. What happens next? Does Snoop Dogg just declare victory and leave?
Not exactly. Harold getting his money, that's a win. But Snoop sees this whole thing as bigger.
Right.
This tension between all this digital progress and people who aren't part of that world.
He's like, we won this battle, but the war's not over.
Yeah, exactly. He uses this moment to talk about the digital divide, the gap between people who have access to technology and those who don't. He challenges the bank to do better, Be more inclusive, make sure everyone can use their services no matter how tech-savvy they are.
It's like a call to action coming from someone with a huge audience.
Right.
He's using his influence to shine a light on a problem people don't talk about enough.
And there's more. Snoop, he's a generous guy, right? He does something even bigger. Quietly gives Harold extra money, makes sure he and Elena have more than just enough for her medicine.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. He really cares about them. It's not just a show.
It's a reminder that even with all this technology, being human still matters. Snoop shows that tech can be a force for good, but it can't replace compassion and caring.
It's a beautiful thing, shows the importance of community, helping each other out. So how does the bank react to all this? Do they just take the criticism and move on?
Well, they're in a tough spot now.
Yeah.
Called out publicly, their policies are under fire. Snoop Dogg and all his fans are angry. They've got to do some serious damage control.
Yeah, this isn't something they can just ignore.
Nope. They release a statement, admit their verification systems need to be more flexible, promise to find ways to help customers who aren't so tech-savvy. They even say they'll donate to a local group that teaches seniors about technology.
Sounds like they're trying to turn this into a positive thing, but is it enough? Will one incident actually change the whole banking industry?
That's the big question, right? It's a step in the right direction, but we'll have to see if they actually follow through. This whole thing started a conversation, made people think about digital access, and banks are paying attention. But real change, that takes time and effort from the industry and from us, the customers.
We have to demand better.
We do.
It's a reminder that we all shape the digital world. We can't just sit back and accept things. We have to ask questions, hold these companies accountable, and fight for a digital world that includes everyone.
Absolutely. This story is a wake-up call. Technology shouldn't come at the cost of human connection, empathy, and making sure everyone's included. We have to make sure everyone benefits from this digital revolution, not just the tech-savvy people.
Finding that balance, right? The convenience of technology, but not losing that human touch in our interactions, our systems, in our communities.
Exactly. That's a conversation we need to keep having. So
Right.
talking about the ethics of technology, the digital divide, and how we can build a digital world that works for everyone, not just a few.
It's going to take collaboration, innovation, and challenging the way things are. We'll be right back to break down the key takeaways from this story and leave you with something to think about as you navigate your own digital life. We're back, and man, this whole story's really got me thinking. We started with a simple bank problem, but it's like we uncovered this whole mess of connected stuff.
Yeah.
Digital access, what companies are responsible for, activism online, and just plain human connection.
It all comes back to remembering the human side of things, even in this digital world we live in. Technology's powerful, sure, but we got to use it right.
Right, ethically.
Exactly. Thinking about how it affects people and communities.
Like that saying, great power, great responsibility, right?
Yeah.
We saw how technology can help people, like Mahira with her phone, exposing the bank and getting support for Harold.
Right.
But it can also shut people out who aren't connected.
That's why digital literacy is so important, not just for us, but for companies too. Banks, anyone using tech a lot, they got to realize not everyone's on the same page and figure out ways to bridge that gap. Offer other options for people who aren't comfortable banking online, teach people how to use technology, or make sure their customer service folks can help with those digital divide problems.
Yeah, like meeting people where they are, Not everyone's a tech whiz. And building systems that are flexible, not just rigid and rule-bound.
Exactly. We need to move away from that one-size-fits-all
Yeah.
tech mentality. People and communities have different needs, different levels of access. Harold's story shows that even something basic like banking can be a huge roadblock if you're not part of that digital world.
It's interesting. This whole story with Snoop Dogg as the unexpected hero, it kind of went beyond the usual political stuff we see,
Yeah.
digital access, financial stuff. It's usually so divided politically, but this, it seemed like everyone could relate to it.
It shows these are human issues at their core, not just political talking points. The fight for access, for fairness, for dignity, it goes beyond all that. Harold's story reminded us of our shared values, the things that unite us, no matter our political views or how good we are with technology.
It's like Snoop said, seeing the humanity in each other, even when we disagree, and finding solutions that work for everyone.
Exactly. What happened to Harold, it might seem small, but it has big implications for how we use technology in a way that's fair, inclusive, and human.
So for all of you listening, as you navigate your own digital lives, think about Harold's story. Are the systems you use accessible to everyone? Are you thinking about those who might be struggling to keep up with all this tech stuff? How can you use your own tech skills to help others and push for a more inclusive digital world?
Remember, technology is a tool. It can be used for good or bad. It's up to us, as individuals and as a society, to make sure it's used to help people, not to create new divisions and inequalities.
We hope this deep dive has given you something to think about, some new perspectives, and maybe even a feeling that you can make a difference in the digital world. This conversation needs to continue, so share your thoughts, your experiences, your ideas with us and with each other.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.